we talk about certified volunteers. That's what we're all here to be, certified volunteers doing something for the station to keep public access running. So when I was thinking about how do we start this presentation, right? Well, what is a volunteer? So I just asked my computer, what's a volunteer? And my computer told me, well, a website, the online dictionary, by the way, onlinedictionary.com for purposes of citing everything. A person who performs or offers to perform a service voluntarily. And then voluntarily means done or undertaken under one's own free will. And then a voluntary organization is an organization that's supported by contributions or charitable donations rather than government appropriations. And if that's not the situation that we're in right now, I don't know what is. That kind of sums it up all in one large package. So then if we hit the next slide, we find out what's certified. Well, certification is a guarantee that you're meeting a standard of knowledge. Therefore, a certified volunteer is one who's guaranteed to meet a standard of knowledge and proficiency in performing a task of their own free will. So essentially what we're saying is people that volunteer to get training, to learn how to do things that an access facilitator would normally do. So we all know that Craig is no longer with us and that he did an awful lot for the public access portion of this organization. In fact, it's an awful lot. I mean, he had a full 40-hour position and he was busy all 40 of those hours. So how do we deal with that? Well, if you go to the next slide, it'll tell us what a facilitator is. And this is really important, okay? A facilitator is one who facilitates, especially one who helps to bring about an outcome, as in learning, productivity, or communication, by providing indirect, unobtrusive guidance or supervision. So, the position of access facilitator was actually created in the traditional sense of PEG to do this, okay? And because PEG in this county is so large, that's a big job, okay? But the biggest portions that I wanted to point out is to bring about a specific outcome, i.e. producing a show, by providing indirect and unobtrusive supervision. So truly the access facilitator's job was to sort of watch everything as it happened, make sure that it was happening correctly, make sure that equipment was secure, make sure that people had the training they needed to have. Okay, so that's what he did. And if you go to the next slide, so that's a lot for one person to do. So I've got 25 or more people in this room today. I'm not asking one person to do that job anymore. Instead, we're going to split the responsibility into 3 parts. Okay, so what you have in front of you is a piece of paper that describes what those 3 parts are. Okay, and if we go to the next slide, you'll see the first one, and I tried to align them with what's on the paper there. I think I did it. The first one is a production assistant. Almost everybody in this room, by the time we're done, will qualify to be a production assistant, okay? This is a person who assists on staff projects and shoots, acts as a crew on those staff shoots, even edits staff projects with close supervision and training, and assists with special projects as assigned by staff. So, for example, during this 3 months while we're doing rebuilding, refitting, and restructuring, I'll be calling on certified volunteers to help me do certain things within the studio and even outside of the studio to speed up the process. Because honestly, I have a 90-day clock which started ticking on January 1st to get this program implemented, and that includes technological upgrades and this program. So how do we get you to be a production assistant? What kind of training are we gonna offer? It's a 6-week course of 2 hours per week, and it's a course that'll be taught by Jeremy Whalen, who's our new director of content, who's back there right now. Everybody say hi to him. He's kind of walking around with the camera taking pictures of me, and Makes me nervous, but that's okay. So week 1, he'll talk about production and composition of a shot. And then in week 2, you'll get to know the cameras that the staff uses for staff shoots. And then in week 3, you'll actually go out with those cameras. You'll shoot with those cameras under his supervision. And then in weeks 4 and 5, you'll learn editing techniques that professionals use to put out products really quickly. Okay, and then in week 6, there's assessment. I'll get to assessment in a little bit more detail later. So that's the production assistant job. Takes 6 weeks of 2 hours a week of training. And we on the back of that sheet that you have, we'll actually look at and vote. And in this room, we'll vote on when people are available to do that training. These volunteer positions, they overlap. So some of you are going to want to take production assistant, studio supervisor, and equipment specialist. You're going to want to take all the classes. Some of you will decide, oh, I only want to be a production assistant. I only want to go out with Jeremy and shoot really cool things and do really cool stuff. And honestly, I've seen some of his stuff. It'd be really fun for me to work with him. I can't do that. So the next job description you'll see, volunteer description you'll see on your sheet there is the equipment specialist. And the equipment specialist opens and closes the studio before and after a scheduled equipment reservation time, and then provides security for the building and the equipment while it's open, and then assists users with the online checkout and reservation system while they're in the building, and then ensures equipment is properly used and adequate training is provided. When I say ensures that equipment is properly used and adequate training is provided, I mean that I'm going to give you training that will allow you to do any follow-up training that members may need on new equipment or things like that, okay? How do you get to become an equipment specialist? Again, it's a 6-week course, 2 hours per week. Maybe a little bit of homework in there, okay? But in week 1, you're going to take the same class that the production assistants are taking. Everybody's going to see Jeremy on week 1 because everybody needs to know about production and shot composition, okay? Then in week 2, we'll talk about organization of equipment and member management. In week 3, we'll talk about all the equipment we have in the reservation system, all the field equipment that we have here at the station, and the way that we've kitted it so that it's easier to check out and check back in. Then on weeks 4 and 5, we'll talk about the checkout system itself. We've all talked about this ominous thing called the Denver Open Media Tools. Well, now we're calling it the equipment portal or the user portal, and it's ours. It belongs to us. We're using it, so we don't have to call it Denver anymore. I'm really excited about that. And then in week 6, we're going to talk about technical questions that you're going to get every single day you walk into work to do the volunteer job. And then we're going to assess your knowledge of what we've learned over these 6 weeks. Now, these 6 weeks run almost concurrently with the other 6 weeks that I talked about, and we'll look at that schedule in just a few seconds. The final volunteer description that I have for you is the studio supervisor, and that's probably the most technically demanding of all the volunteer job descriptions that we're talking about, but in my opinion, also the most fun. But that's probably because I do this stuff anyway. But anyway, the studio supervisor will open and close the studio before and after a studio show reservation, provide security for the building and the equipment, and then provide simple engineering and technical expertise. For those of you who do studio shows, that means paint the cameras. And then ensures that equipment is properly used and adequate training is provided. That means that while a studio show is going on, if you're walking around and you see someone, dangling a camera off their wrist, you go train them how to use it right. So that would be how that works. And how do you get to be a studio supervisor? Go ahead. The same 6-week. Hold on. So, good thing. I'm going to hold questions till I'm completely done, okay? Because there's.
It says here these volunteers will not be allowed to serve as a crew member on a public access assume it means while they're serving as
That's correct.
studio supervisor.
That's correct. So anyway, week 1, production and composition and shot composition. Week 2, security and user management. Week 3, studio cameras and lighting. Week 4, the switcher and engineering. So again, painting the cameras. Week 5, audio and titles. Week 6, engineering and assessment. So we'll hit the engineering topics again, and then we'll do an assessment. And these assessments that I'm talking about, go ahead to the next slide. These assessments that I talk about, what? You're going to test me? Yes, I am. Why am I going to test you? For 3 awesome reasons. 1, to ensure that all of the volunteers have a baseline knowledge. And 2, to ensure of your actual comfort operating the equipment. I'm not going to throw you through 6 weeks of training and then put you onto a studio show and you're like, I don't know what he said on week 1, but I'm sure I can do this. It's okay. No, I'm not going to do that. There'll be plenty of practical application for you to be able to show your skills. Because a lot of you in here have skills that are either yet untapped or you'd like to help with or you already do help with. And what we're doing is we're just formalizing that program. Okay? So that the assessment is not an ominous word. It's not meant to scare anyone off. It just means that we're trying to ensure a baseline level of knowledge between our volunteer base and to ensure your comfort when we actually do let you fly solo here in the studio or there in the equipment checkout room or somewhere with Jeremy out on hopefully shooting at Niagara Falls when we get that contract or something. It'll be fun. I'm honest. I'm being honest and truthful about that. Some of the stuff that we get as staff to do, and we don't necessarily have the staff for, we would love to do it, and he would love to train you how to use the DSLRs and things like that to produce those products. So next slide, So now you're wondering, okay, great. So he's going to put us through 6 weeks of training. He's going to give us a test. And then how does it all work after that? Glad you asked. So the first thing is email. Everybody in here, provided that you don't write on your sheet, and I didn't put a place for this, but provided that you don't write on your worksheet at the end that you never want to talk to me again or never want to come back to one of these classes again. I'm going to grab your email. I'm going to give you a at communitytv.org Gmail account. And we're going to begin communicating that way as a volunteer user base. That way, when I have a document to share with you, when Jeremy has a document to share with you, he can do that right on Google Drive. We can keep all of our volunteer emails separate from our personal email accounts, all of that stuff. It'll help us to communicate at the speed of light instead of the speed of however quickly I can call you and you can pick up the phone. Or snail mail, for goodness sakes. And then the second thing is security. You might be wondering, well, how am I going to operate in the studio by myself? I've been, in the last week or so, designing systems that will make this building not Fort Knox totally, but fairly secure and able to know who's in the building at what time and when, so that you as a studio supervisor can unlock that door, knowing that you know who's in the building, we know who's in the building, you're safe, they're safe, and essentially we don't have to have staff walking around all the time going, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't want to do that anymore. Rather, I would just want to use security to do that. So I'm really excited to talk about that, and Keith can start wincing at me if he wants to, but I'm really excited to start talking about that. Over the past week, I've been designing a key card entry system, and that's really exciting stuff, because if I hand you a key card and you're a studio supervisor, that card gets you into the front door and it gets you into the studio. Those are the things you can open up. Those are the things you use. You close them up when you leave, and the building is and I know when you got there, I know when you left, and that's how we're going to work that. The next thing is the schedule. When I talk about this volunteer program, some people don't understand quite when I talk about a volunteer schedule. If you've ever been a docent at a museum, or you've ever what was the other one I gave today? Oh, an usher at a play. Okay, so when you usher for a play company and they give you free tickets, you don't just show up to usher for the play that night. They asked you, put you on a schedule, and then you showed up. And for your showing up, they handed you free play tickets. Okay? This program is going to work in a similar way, and I'll explain that in a little more detail. But what you should know is that the schedule will be set by you, the volunteers. So we're not going to start by saying, this is what the schedule is, and here we go. Who wants to be at this shift? No. I'm going to start by saying, when are we available? The 25, 27, 30 of us, however many are in this room. When are we available? When can we operate public access? And then after doing that, then we'll worry about whose show goes where and what does what, okay? And then the next thing is online tools. Again, the user portal. We're going to use the user portal to track who's using the equipment, to track checkout, to track volunteer hours even. And then a couple of simple technology upgrades that I can go over a couple of them if we have a little bit of time later, but a couple of simple technology upgrades here in the building. And then the biggest thing is people just like you. When Kathy D'Angelo told me there's 27 people signed up for this, my mouth dropped open and I was like, 27 people want to keep this place open. And I'm well, proud of you all for being here, but also really thankful that you would at least come and listen to how we think that this would work. The next slide is, so what do I get for all my trouble, right? You're going to put me on a schedule. I'm going to have a key card. I'm going to show up. I'm going to buzz these people in, and then they're going to come in. They're going to do their show. I'm going to wait till they're done and leave, and then close the thing up. And if something goes wrong, you're going to call me and all this stuff. So what do I get for doing all this? Next slide. The perks. You get the perks. First and foremost, semi-professional experience in the television broadcasting world. Literally, I'm going to teach those who want to learn things about television broadcasting that you wouldn't learn in some public access programs. The next thing is a great resume builder. Any one of you who becomes a super volunteer for me, I will write you a letter of recommendation myself. Okay? I don't know how many of you that would be a good thing for, but for those of you that it would be for, I will do it. And then the biggest thing that everybody always asks me about is we'll be offering hours to use towards your or your friends' use of the facilities themselves. So some of you, after the first meeting, came up to me and said, well, what if I don't produce anything? What if I don't use the facilities myself? Can I trade those for someone who actually does do a show? And I'm going to single him out. David Goldman came to me and asked that. He said, can I donate my hours to Paula? And I said, yeah, that's how we're going to keep this program running. We're going to keep it running by those of you who are technical, helping out for those who aren't, and then sort of sharing all that love around. And then at the end, I added invitations to special events at the station. We love to do these kind of appreciation things for our volunteers. I don't know how much of it has been done in the past, but I know how much they do at CMAP, and I know how much they enjoy it. So those are the perks, and I don't know if there's any more slides, so you can hit it again and let's see. Oh, and then it's what do I need from you today? So how am I doing on time? What time is it?
6:30.
Boy,
Lots of time. I'm
doing really well.
You know
Well,
what you're doing.
this is going to be like the first time we're going to let you out early, right? No. So there are a bunch of things that we do need to do that are participatory. For those people who already told me they need to leave, you can do so. But if for those of you who want to stick around or have questions, there's a bunch of participatory stuff coming up. We're going to talk about scheduling of the 6-week classes, and then we're going to talk about how to fill out an availability form for us. So if you have your availability form already and you're trying to get out of here, hand it to Kathy D'Angelo, and then you're excused. Thank you so much for coming. So,
I have a question about the availability form.
go ahead.
It has the abbreviations for the different positions.
If you-
Are we supposed to put the abbreviations?
No, you can just
So
put your,
say
I'm available here.
This time, okay.
Yep.
Circle what position.
Circle what positions you might be interested in based on those descriptions. Okay. No, wait. I don't want to pass those out yet. Hold on. Thank you. I'm sorry. Hold on. Thank you. First, we need to do the first part, which is more important to me, really. It's scheduling the classes. So on the back of this form, you'll see several possible class times. It's laid out in a 6-week format. It's not really several possible class times. We're going to talk about the first class first. These are for people who want to get trained as production assistants. I highly recommend that if you can, you attend these classes, because what they'll do is they'll allow you, let's say you become a studio supervisor and you're a production assistant, then you're getting, studio supervisor hours and production assistant hours, okay? And then, yeah. And then, so, the two possible dates for that are starting on Thursday the 23rd or Friday the 24th. So first we're going to deal with what? Yes, Kathy.
How we're presenting it is the class will either be all on Thursdays
Or all on
on
Fridays.
So the first thing we need to decide is which the majority are
Right.
going to choose, right?
So here's what I'm going to say. Only if you're interested in the production assistant classes should you vote in this, but I'm going to do it by voting, and I'm going to ask if you're interested in all the classes being on Thursday, you're going to raise your hand at one point. If you're interested in all the classes being on Friday, you're going to raise your hand at another point. And then the possible times are either 6 to 8 or 7 to 9. That's right. Yeah, either 6 to 8 or 7 to 9. So everybody in favor of Thursdays, raise your hand. Oh my God, an overwhelming everybody. 6 to 8. Are we okay? So let's raise our hands for 6 to 8. Yeah. All right. So everybody, I love this group already. We're 7 to 9. Sorry. Sorry. Friday. I'm so well. Here's the 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. Sorry. I think I skipped it because 2/3 majority. So just for those people who didn't raise their hand for 6 to 8, 7 to 9. All right. So Thursday 6 to 8 it is. So those classes will be Thursday from 6 to 8. They will begin on January 23rd. They will run concurrently every week through till February 20th. And
Oh, sorry.
oh, there is a mistake on there.
Right.
27th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And for those people, I won't say that part yet. Okay. For those people who can't make next week, for those people who can't make the 23rd Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m., we will also be teaching a trailer class for just that first week on that Saturday, the 25th, time to be determined, okay?
So that time to be determined, it's a 2-hour class, and we need to determine, after we determine what those other schedules are going to be, then we put in that.
Right. Totally understand. Okay. So, apparently I would like to hang out with all of you for the next 6 Saturdays because I've written on here the possible availabilities for equipment specialist and studio supervisor is on Saturdays. Now I was hoping that since most of you participate in some form of production on a Saturday or Sunday, that Saturdays would be preferable. If a Saturday, okay, I don't know. Okay, raise your hand if Saturdays is preferable to any other day for 2 to 4 hours of classes. Raise your hand if it's not preferable. Oh, great. Really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sunday or weekday?
I'm not doing Sunday. I can do Friday. Who of the people that are going to be okay? Let me reiterate. These are only people who are going to take equipment specialist and equipment and studio supervisor classes. Okay, so
It could also be or.
or.
Why don't you just go with the equipment specialist first?
What we're talking about though is having both classes on those
Saturday,
Saturdays in
yeah.
a row and determine whether the equipment specialist will be like from 10 to 12 and then the other class,
Okay.
studio class will be 1 to 3 or something like that. So
Sounds good to me.
they're both gonna be on, probably on Saturdays.
Okay, how many people would be available on a Friday evening to take an equipment specialist or a studio supervisor class?
But
Oh,
that's
wow.
4 hours.
No, I would only do one on Friday and the other one would be on Saturday. So I'm talking now about splitting them because I see at least 4 people who would be studio supervisors raising their hands for Friday night classes. Yes? Okay.
I can go either way.
You can go either way? Okay.
So essentially, if we wanted to do both the equipment specialist and the studio supervisor, we'd be here, say if they were both on Saturday, we'd be here 4 hours on Saturday.
That's correct. So instead what we're talking about, and I think if I'm seeing the hands correctly, studio supervisors would probably be on Friday. Raise your hand if you'd be available for classes on Friday if you want to be a studio supervisor.
What time?
From 6 to 8, let's say.
Or Saturday is the other choice?
No, not anymore.
I'm trying to not make that a choice at this point. I'm trying to eliminate that as a choice.
Friday from 6 to 8 for studio supervisors.
Yeah. And then I want to know how many people of the people who want to be studio supervisors cannot make Friday from 6 to 8.
Dave, we're only counting one vote per person.
Yeah, no. If you look at your calendar, there is no classes. These classes do not start until February 22nd, after the first week. If you look at your calendar there.
The studio supervisor.
So does that change that for anybody?
Yeah, so let's make it clear that the week 1 for all of the classes are either, well, we determined Thursday, the 23rd, week 1. You can all come to that week 1.
Yes.
If you are then gonna take the studio supervisor class, week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 don't even start until February 22nd.
And were we to take that on Thursday, then we don't need to show up on January 25th, I assume. since-
That's correct.
That's
That's
correct.
correct.
And if Saturday for the.
I got you,
equipment,
Richard.
If we are not doing Saturday for the equipment specialist, is that what that you?
No, equipment specialist will probably be on Saturday. I'm thinking about moving studio supervisor to Friday.
And you said Friday.
6 to 8.
What is, if Friday is one option, what is the other option if Saturday is not one of the options?
Well, Saturday was an option, and I got too many people saying they can't make it on Saturday who want to be studio supervisors.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So go ahead, Richard.
I just a question.
Yes.
So no matter what you want of these 3 categories, you have to do the week 1.
Either on the 23rd or the 25th.
Everybody has to do that, it's gonna be any kind of volunteer.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's gonna be on Thursday.
And I would say to you all that if you can make the Thursday class and have that training with Jeremy, that would be preferable for everybody in the room. The Saturday class will be taught by me. So if you want a break, take the Thursday class.
Could we possibly have another vote on if Saturday is an option? I mean, I would.
For what?
For either, I guess.
So,
Studio
so studio supervisor, okay. All right.
Because I voted no on Saturday, thinking, well, I'd rather do Friday on one, but if I'm gonna be here on a Saturday already, I'd rather do both of them.
Well, that's what we were thinking. That's what we were thinking when we originally did it.
I would rather just do both on
Yeah,
Saturday.
I would say, no, I can't be here on Saturday, but if I'm gonna be here on Saturday anyway, then I'll make arrangements.
See, we already we had this conversation in her office. Yes, Richard.
Hours at class will be make a difference. I don't do anything before noon.
It would be 12 to 2. What did we say?
We actually left a window, we talked about a window, it's not written anywhere.
Okay.
We talked about a window between 10 and 4:30.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to do all 4 hours in a row, just go from one class to the other, we could do it from noon to 4.
That would be preferable for me.
So how many people could do if and I honestly feel that if you're signing up to be a studio supervisor, you could also be an equipment specialist, just saying. Okay? So if you could do all 4 of those classes from 12 to 4 on a Saturday, raise your hand. Oh my God. Okay. Well, that was easy.
We're gonna spend the day, we might as well get it.
We might as well get it done, right?
So what we'll probably do is the equipment specialist will be from 10 to 2, and the studio class will be from...
No, we just talked about 12 to 4. So 12 to 2 and 2 to 4.
12 to 2 and 2 to 4.
Yes.
Is that only for that first week?
To 2, no.
No, because the equipment specialist will be a larger group than the studio supervisors, most likely.
Nick, I do think though that you still need to ask the people who cannot do it on Friday, how many of those people are going to do studio supervisors, and how many cannot do Saturday?
Okay, so of the studio supervisor or equipment specialists, who cannot do Saturday at all, ever? Really? Okay, that's fine.
Are you the only one?
I'm the only one, so it's okay.
I'd rather not do it Saturday.
Really?
Yeah, any other day.
Well, me too, but we got 4 hours of classes to pummel through, and I would just like to get it done. Is that cool with everybody?
1 week course or is it-
No, that's for those 5 weeks. It's 5
Oh,
weeks.
5 weeks.
It's 5 weeks. 5 weeks, 4 hours a day. I'm asking for your Saturdays, 5 weeks, 4 hours a day. And by the way, every hour you spend with me is a volunteer hour you can use for equipment and facilities. I forgot to say that, but even now as you sit here, you're gathering hours for the program. Okay, so it's not without its own rewards. You're getting a jump start on the whole program by doing that. I mean, that's a whole 4 hours every. So you're starting out with 2 plus 4 times 6, 26 hours each.
24 and 2 is 26.
24 times 6, 4 times 6.
4 times 5 is 20, and that's if you take.
Except there's 6 weeks plus 2.
Right.
Let's not argue about simple things like
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm not arguing. It's cool. 26. So anyway, that's I think what we've just decided, and correct me if I'm wrong because you've been tracking the conversation, is that we're going to do both the equipment specialist and the studio supervisor classes on Saturdays from 12 to 4. So the equipment specialist will start from 12 to 2, and the studio supervisors will be from 2 to 4. Okay?
And it's preferable that everyone comes on the
Thursday.
For that week 1.
Okay, let me ask this because then I'll know if I need to teach a Saturday class on the 25th. Does anybody not want to show up to that Thursday class from 6 to 8 on the 20?
Week 1 on the 23rd of
Third.
January.
Okay, so then I'll see you on the 25th, or if you're the only one, then we'll figure out a way to deal with
I
that.
might have trouble getting to.
Okay. Anybody who has trouble dealing with it, I'll have Jeremy take roll or whatever. That sounds very strange. I'll have Jeremy take roll, and then we'll call you up and let you know that we're doing the trailer class for those who didn't get to that. But I appreciate everybody trying to do that. He's really excited about teaching that class for everybody.
I have one other question.
Yes.
So,
No, it's okay.
what happens if emergency happens, we miss one of the classes?
That's a good question. Let me address that in sort of a long roundabout way. The group that is in this room right now is the group that we're doing this program with, beginning now, all the way through till at least July 1, right? And I'm not going to adopt anyone else into the program until after that July 1 date, okay? Mostly because you are the members of the current membership base that have expressed interest in this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to do this program all the way through till July 1st. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm keeping track because I'm tracking volunteer hours. If we end up needing a few trailer classes, we're going to go ahead and teach those. Just like you would if we had pickups in a college course or something. We'll pick up trailer classes for those who need them. But please, on these things, attendance is super important because we're really going over this, one time with the group, learning as a group, and then doing assessment as a group. So it's all really important. If you miss a week, let me know, and maybe that means you and I can sit down for an hour and knock it out. You know what I'm saying? Or you can come build the studio with me and knock that out, and we can work it out is what I'm saying. But I view this group as sort of the pilot cohort, and I'm really excited about that because this is the group that's going to prove that this type of a system works. And so I said that to sort of say that I need as much buy-in from you as I have to this program, because it's only going to work if we can all get trained and then we can all do our part when it comes to when we open up again in April. Okay? So that brings me to my last and final worksheet, because I think Kathy's sort of giving me this inquisitive look like there's something that we need to talk about before I move on to the other worksheet.
I just wanted to say, there are some people who showed up after the clipboard went around. Anyone who's come after that and has not signed in, please sign in.
Okay?
Board.
Everybody understand that?
If there's pink next to your name, it means you're not a current member, and we'll have to get that straightened out.
Oh, so thank you for saying that. I'll address that right now before we go to the last and final worksheet of what I need from you today. The thing about membership, we are needing everyone's membership to be current. But just by showing up to this workshop, you're gathering hours which can help you pay for that membership. So to you, that membership could be free, right? That's what I'm saying. That by the time you're done with this training class in general, let's say you take all 4 hours worth of class, you're going to have 26 hours to transact to get that membership. Okay? So don't worry about it. If we put a pink mark next to your name, all that means is we need to do what we need to do to get your membership current. Okay? Yes?
The membership fees have changed? Yes,
The membership fees have changed, right? We did that already, right? Yeah.
Yes, we haven't talked about money.
We haven't talked
No, I mean, I'm asking Keith. I'm asking Keith real quick.
The board approved it.
but we don't know, but I don't even know.
don't think we can
membership.
act.
What happens to the members that are paid?
The board.
Closure, do we get 4 months?
So it's
That's what I was gonna ask too. Are we gonna prorate
yes,
what we have?
yes. So membership will be prorated through the break. Number one, okay. Number two, the membership fees did. I can say that, right? The membership fees went up.
What?
The membership fees are if you're a studio producer or studio user or field user only. the membership is $50 a year. Okay? For right.
One or the other.
Hold on, please. Thank you so much. So, if you're a field user or a studio user, it's $50. Okay? If you use both, it's $100. Okay? But you can use your volunteer hours to transact for that amount. Okay? That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what the ratio hours to dollars are?
It depends. We're going to talk a little bit about that at the board retreat, but I think that the rate for in-kind services is set for us, and so we'll use that rate. And that's how it'll be transacted.
Do we know what that rate is?
It was 17 something.
1631, 1613. 1613 is
From Kathy, though.
Which Kathy?
It's the Santa Cruz County living minimum wage. It's set by the county as to what the minimum living wage is.
Living wage, not living minimum wage.
living wage, right. It's the Santa Cruz County living wage, which we use already to track volunteer hours in the studio. And that's how we track in-kind services that way for grants reporting and whatnot. So in that way, we're just formalizing for this group that amount. Okay. Then you use that amount towards the actual cost of membership or classes.
Per dollar or per hour, it's
$16.13.
$16 per hour goes towards our fees.
That's right.
That's
Now,
per-
am I to take it then there's no studio fee on top of that? You just pay your $50 to use the studio? and
No, there'll be studio usage fees as well.
Surprise.
That wasn't a surprise. Sorry. I'm not going to take that anymore. It's not a surprise. This is a fee-for-use model, and it's why you're all here. You're here to be able to transact your hours of volunteerism towards those usage fees. Okay? There are some stations where it costs over $150 just to get a studio for 3 hours for public access members. That's not what we're talking about here. Okay? So yeah. I just wanted to make that really clear. I'm really excited to do this program, so that leads me into the last portion, and I think we're still doing good on time, Paul.
You are.
Okay, so the last portion is this awesome worksheet, which Kathy is going to hand out, and I can
There was more.
borrow one real quick if that's okay. So this is the sheet she's going to hand out to you, and this is how we're going to come up with some proposed public access hours. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to give me your name. Then you're going to give me your phone number. You're going to give me your member ID. If you don't know it or didn't happen to see it on the form when you signed in, don't worry about it and we'll write it in for you. Okay? Give me your email address. And then tell me whether or not... Does everybody have the... I'm sorry, I should probably let you get the form in front of you first. Down in front.
Thank you.
So, I'm going to go over that one more time. You're going to give me your name. Then you're going to give me your phone number. If you don't know your member ID or it wasn't written on there or you didn't happen to get it from the sign-in sheet, we'll write it for you. You're going to give me your email address, and then you're going to tell me, Nick, I want my CTV email forwarded to my personal email. That just means you won't have to check 2 different boxes. That means that my system will send your CTV emails to your system. Okay? It'll still allow you to respond to those emails. And then you're going to circle the volunteer titles that you want, that you're most interested in. If you end up dropping out of one program, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. If you decide you want to try out on all 3 of them, I'm going to love that, okay? And then at the bottom, this is the most important part. You're going to fill out in 4-hour time blocks where you would be available to function in one of these roles. It doesn't matter what role. It doesn't... I'm sorry. Yes, it doesn't matter what role. I just need to know what hours you would be available to function in one of these roles. Okay? So Matilda, as you can see here, she's blocked off the 4-hour chunks where she's available. Okay? And you do that by You do that by putting an arrow to the top of the place where it starts and an arrow at the bottom. Okay, and then what that'll do is that'll allow Kathy D'Angelo and I to lay all these out on a table and come up with some possible proposed public access hours. Okay, and these are just proposals to see from this group when we would be most able to do volunteer access. Okay,
10 to 10
so the times are 10 a.m.
to 10
to 10 p.m. Okay. In general, you all heard. Some of you heard me at the last meeting that some were at and some were not, where I said normal or some possible proposed hours would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. I'm doing this to figure out who would be available for what, and so to know whether I was right or not. Okay, this is just possible proposals, and this will just help us to do proposed schedules. Okay, so with that, I'll answer any other questions. That you might have, or you can hand your form into Kathy D'Angelo, and I thank you so much and bid you a really good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Studio supervisor,
Bill.
still, I understand, maybe the other one was here, where you're responsible for
think that's it.
security of the equipment in the building and all that. Couple questions. One, that implies that you're gonna have to set the alarm, the alarm code, and set it on and off, right?
The security system will be completely different by the time.
Second is, what's the financial liability the person's gonna incur? So your studio supervisor.
The financial liability of the studio supervisor or the volunteer who's doing it is absolutely zero. Okay?
Okay.
The liability is and always has been or should be on the producers themselves or users themselves. Okay? Now, that being said, you'll have plenty of training to help you arrest those situations when they arise. But as far as liability purposes, you won't be liable. Okay?
So I paid my $25 membership before the price change. Am I going to have to top up another $75?
No, so your membership is good all the way until your expiration date, whenever it is. Okay?
Yeah, down the road, are we gonna be able to get like college credits for all this stuff, like, other?
College credits would have to be done through an institution that you're actually taking a class in, and that would be an internship program. And yes, we do that, but you have to be enrolled in an accredited college that gives internship credit.
Well, thank you, Nick. That was very good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Ability.
Awesome.
Applause again.
Okay. Everybody.